We are talking about food safety, and we have Ottawa Public Health, Jacqueline Shelley-Fu, who is a food inspector here to talk about this morning. Obviously, this is a very important topic, especially in the summertime.
Yeah, of course, because of barbecue season,
Right.
people are having picnics, they're going out,
And so we see a lot of mistakes that people make, and that, can lead to contamination or illness or whatever else. So talk about the 4 steps that are really important that people follow.
So there's 4 steps. So basically clean, separate, chill, and cook.
Okay.
So when we're talking about cleaning, it's basically making sure you wash your hands. So that's the most important step for everything.
Okay.
You want to prevent foodborne illness. You want to prevent food poisoning. So you want to wash your hands properly. Basically, when you're washing your hands, you want to follow those 6 steps. So wet your hands, add soap, lather for 15 seconds. Make sure you don't miss the thumbs and the fingertips. Those are the places most frequently missed. And then, you rinse it off and dry with a paper towel and turn off your taps.
Okay.
If you don't have a hand wash tank available because you're going on a picnic or that sort of thing, bring some commercial towelettes that you could buy at the store, and it adds a little bit of an extra buffer, and it's definitely better.
And what about in terms of cleaning, your countertops and keeping that sanitary?
Yeah, so the second part to cleaning would be making sure that your countertops are clean with soap and water, and then sanitize with chlorine solution. So basically, chlorine solution is just 2 mils of your household bleach in a liter of water. Mix it up in a spray bottle, spray it on after you've cleaned it, and then just let it sit for a couple of minutes, wipe it off, and then you're good to start preparing your food.
Okay, so what's the second step?
So the second step is separate, which is basically what we have here. You want to have separate utensils for your meat and separate utensils for your vegetables. And same thing with cutting boards. So here we have a red cutting board for meat, a green cutting board or blue cutting board for vegetables.
Okay.
And that's just to prevent cross-contamination, because you don't want your raw meat, the juices, which have bacteria on them, to go onto your vegetables.
Okay, so and what are some steps, you were saying, use separate utensils. What about, sometimes I find that it spills. Should I be using a separate cleaning cloth as well, or a paper towel? What's the best way to clean up that juice if it does,
basically, you're on a
spill
cutting
over?
board, so if you don't want them to be touching, right? And if you do feel like the juices are going to go onto your other one, definitely just wipe it off with the cloth, and that should be fine. Okay. Because you're going to sanitize there anyways. You're not going to be putting that into the juices regardless, right?
Right. Very good point. All right. Chill.
Chilling refers to basically your fridge temperature and keeping foods cold. You want to keep your cold foods cold at 4 degrees Celsius or less, which is basically what your fridge temperature would be.
Okay.
You also want to marinate. With the barbecue season and stuff, you want to marinate in the refrigerator.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you never want to keep anything on the counter. So basically, you would prepare your food, prepare your chicken or your meat in the marinade, put it in the fridge, and let it sit there for however long you need your marinade to be.
And you were saying, it's important with lunches and stuff like that to, make sure if things need to be cold, that they're staying cold.
Yeah, so if you're going to pack something like a picnic and you're going to have food on the go, you want to keep it cold. So it doesn't really matter where you go, you have to keep your food cold. You could have ice packs, just loose ice even. You could even freeze some juice boxes and put them in your cooler with you, but you want to keep it cold. If you're going to be preparing like an egg salad sandwich, for instance, you're going to be cooking the eggs, you're going to chill it first, because you don't want to put a hot product in your cold cooler.
Oh, that's a good tip. And in terms of our fridge, we've kind of done some organizing here this morning. What are some important tips when
So basically, with the fridge, you don't want to contaminate. So you're going to always put your raw meats on the bottom shelf. Okay. If you have crispers, pick one of the crispers to keep your raw meats inside. And then your ready to eat food would be on top. If you have containers, make sure they have lids on them, just so nothing spills into them and contaminates them further.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We let you into our messy fridge to look inside. And in terms of cooking, what are some important tips with cooking?
So with cooking, you want to make sure you're cooking at the proper temperature. So your meat has to be cooked at 74 degrees. If you're cooking an entire turkey, you would cook it at 82. So those are the 2 basic cooking temperatures. You also want to use a probe thermometer. You can never rely on the juices. You know how some
Right.
people say, oh, my hamburger's cooked because my juice
Right.
is clear.
Oh.
That's not
No.
a good indicator of whether or not it's cooked. So you want to use your probe thermometer, which you're
Okay.
going to clean and sanitize first.
Right.
And then you would insert it in the thickest part of the meat. If you have hamburgers and you feel like they're a little bit too thin, you could just pile them on top like that and take the temperature.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So some very important tips. Of course, everything can be found online at ottawa.ca.
Yeah.
And one important thing, you were saying bag salad, even though it says pre-wash, rewash it.
Yeah, take that extra step. And the thing with fruits and vegetables, you do want to clean them.
Yeah.
They could have dirt on them, microorganisms. You never know. So basically, the way to clean fruits and vegetables is to just put them under cold running water
Okay.
and use a little brush and just
Perfect.
scrub it off. And for the stuff that you can't scrub with
Yeah.
a brush, you just soak it in cold running water. And you know, lettuce, you would take off the
Right.
outer layer
And just not eat
and
it.
not eat
Perfect.
that.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for these tips today. Hopefully
problem.
people will stay safe and practice them so they don't get sick.